Hey guys, how are you doing? My name is Katharyne Shelton, and today I wanted to do a walkthrough of creating an interior for your KDP book from scratch using Keynote. Now, Keynote is Apple's answer to PowerPoint, and if you're using a Windows computer, I'm going to make a very similar presentation to this using PowerPoint. If you want a free version, you can also use Google Slides. That has a few more limitations. I personally love the Keynote version because I'm a complete Mac groupie, but also I find that it's a little bit easier to use and it looks very, very neat and pretty when you've created your interior. So let's get rolling with this. You will obviously know that Keynote and PowerPoint are intended primarily for presentations, so they tend to refer to slides. Now, the great thing is that they offer two things that are really important to us. First of all, they allow you to export as a PDF, and as you know, KDP will use PDFs for interiors. The other thing is that they allow you to set custom sizes on your slides, which effectively gives you pages in whatever size you want. So you can create your slides or your pages to completely match your KDP book. So here we are, we're looking at the start screen of Keynote, and I'm just going to create a simple white presentation. Okay, so let's bring me back, there we are. So we're looking at Keynote now, and as you can see, it's pretty straightforward to use. These are the main buttons that you're going to want to use: the table, chart, text, shape. It's really, really simply laid out. You have 3 tabs here, and the ones you're going to probably use here is format, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about this in a moment. So the first thing we want to do with our Keynote presentation is to go to Document, because we're going to want to set the correct size. So the default size that it gives you is really set up for presentations. If you had a bunch of people in a room watching a projector, this is kind of the slide size that you would be using. Now, obviously, we don't want to use this, so we're going to go custom slide size. And oh no, it asks us for points. So it wants you to set up the slide size in points. So I know a lot of people at this point give up and go, I don't know what this points thing is. I'm giving up. I'm going home. So there are really 3 measurements that different tools use to set up page sizes. And those are inches, which are self-explanatory. It's very easy if you just set up your slide size in inches. Unfortunately, you don't have this option here. The other alternatives are pixels or points. And I'm not going to go into a long-winded explanation. We're going to keep this super simple. But basically, with points, what you want to do is multiply your width and your height by 72. And that will give you the point size that you need. So for example, if we wanted to create a page size that's 8.5 by 11, what we're going to do is do 8.5 multiply 72 equals 612. So we're going to go back to our Keynote here, and we're going to put 612. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 11 by 72 is 792. So we can put that in there, 792, and that will give you an 8.5 by 11 page. So I want to show you something cool. We are about to add this to our Halloween class. So I'm using it here, but we're also going to add this tool to tangent templates as well. So if you're using tangent templates, this is a really nice shortcut that really saves you from having to do the maths. And what you will do is say, select your trim size. So we're going to do 8.5 by 11, the number of pages we want in our book. So I'm going to say 60 pages, and the paper type, white or cream, or color, of course. You can do a color page. And we're also giving you this question: include the bleed, no or yes. Now, there's one sticking point here, and this is where a lot of people hit a sort of confusion wall. And that is the bleed of a book. Now, bleed actually isn't that too complicated of a concept. Basically, this book, you can see this is a lined book, and the lines go all the way to the edge of the page here. There's no white space around the edge. And this is a book where you would want to select bleed. And what bleed does is it adds just a little bit of extra space to your page. And in that extra space, Amazon's cutters or printers, choppers, whatever they are, their guillotine, they can cut in that space and it will look nice. It won't cut off too soon, cutting anything off, and it won't cut off too late, leaving a white space around it. So basically a bleed is like an extra little bit of space around the edge of your page, so it makes your page a little bit bigger, and they can cut around that and make sure that you get a nice, neat result with the lines going all the way to the edge of your page. So what this means, this on the other hand, this is a page without bleed because it has white space all the way around, so it doesn't go to the edge of the page. So what this means, there are two reasons why you might want to select bleed on your books. The first is if you are doing something, a design like line pages, that you want to go all the way to the edge of your pages. And if you're doing, say, a colour background on your pages, or if you're doing like full photographs, then you would probably want a bleed. The other reason you may need a bleed is if you are mixing your designs with our tangent templates. All of our tangent templates, just for simplicity, include bleed. We made it so that for all of them you just say yes to bleed, just to keep it easier. So if you want to mix your designs with tangent templates, then yes, you will need to add in that extra bleed. So adding bleed creates a little bit more complexity with your Keynote. If you don't want bleed, you're good to go here. If you just want to create a page where you're going to have white space around it and you don't want any bleed, you are good to go with these sizes. If you want to add bleed, you have to do a slightly bit more work. Now, we actually created a tool that takes the headache out of bleed or no bleed for you. In this tool, we've put it in the Halloween class, and we're actually looking at the Halloween class here. We were also going to add this to tangent templates. So if you have tangent templates, you can totally access this there as well. And what you do with this, you just select your trim size. So we're going to say 8.5 by 11, 60 pages, white paper. You can choose white cream or color paper. And you can say here, do you want to include the bleed, no or yes? So I'm going to say yes. And what this does is gives you the cover information you need for your book, and also the interior information, whether you're making it in Keynote, PowerPoint, Canva, whatever tool you're using. We've also got InDesign, Photoshop. Basically, it gives you all the dimensions you need. So if you're using this tool, you don't have to worry about doing the calculations for bleed. You can just take these points here, 621 and 810. So we can add those here, 621, 810. And that is the 8.5 by 11 with bleed. So this tool just does it all for you. If you have the Halloween class or you have tangent templates, we've done the maths for you. If you are not using these, you need to do the maths yourself. What you need to do is actually, it's pretty straightforward. If your page is 8.5 by 11, you need to work out the width and height separately. So the width will be 8.5, and then you are going to add 0.125, because basically Amazon tell you to add 0.125 at the side, 0.125 at the top, 0.125 at the bottom. So we're going to do 8.5 plus 0.125, and then the same calculation times 72. So that would be our width, 621, which is what tangent templates gave us. And then you're going to do the same thing again for the height. So we're going to clear that, and we're going to do 11, and then we're going to add, for the height, you're going to add 0.25, because that is actually a double. So the height, you're adding the top and the bottom. So remember, it's 0.125 at the top, 0.125 at the bottom, 0.125 at the side. So for the height, you have to add it twice for the top and bottom. So it's 11 plus 0.25, so that's 11.25, and then we're going to multiply that again by 72 equals 810, which should be the answer we've got there from tangent templates. Cool, so that is the math. I recommend using tangent templates. I love it. I don't have to do any math. I just literally fill out my simple information and it tells me what I need to put in there. But if you're not using tangent templates, that's what you need to remember, just to calculate bleed and to get the right settings for Keynote. Okay, we are done with the maths. Like, that was boring, that was really difficult and brought back horrible memories of 5th grade. So yeah, we can move on from this now and we can do the fun stuff, which is designing our interior. Okay, so we are ready for the magic to happen. We're going to hit OK, and there we go. This is the start of our document that will be the correct size with bleed for KDP, because I actually want to merge it in with tangent templates. So I'm going to delete this stuff first of all, and what I also want to do is add in a ruler to this. So before I can set up the ruler, I actually need to go to Keynote Preferences. I know you can't see it fully on my screen, but I just went Keynote on the menu and selected Preferences, and I'm going to change these ruler units to inches to make it super easy for us to understand. So I've set that to inches, and now I'm going to hit View, and I'm going to do Show Rulers. And you can see here now we have a really easy guide where we can see the size of our page. And you can zoom out a little bit so we can make it fit to what we're looking at. So this is cool. We have our rulers around here. You can see this. And now we are ready to start designing our interior. Now, if you have bleed set, you can design pretty much to the edge, but you don't want to put anything vital in this edge part because it's going to get trimmed out. So be aware that this edge, 0.125 of it, is going to get trimmed out, and the same is true at the top and bottom. Now, in addition to that, you actually need to leave a margin. And the good thing is that KDP actually tell you how much margin you should leave. So what they tell you, they give you the inside and outside margins. So the inside margin is here. This part is the inside. It's called the gutter. This is the inside. And if you're doing a full page spread, like you're doing line paper, you may not need a margin because your lines are going to go all the way across the page and it doesn't really matter. So for example, with this line paper, this doesn't have a margin in the middle because the lines go all the way across. For this one, yes, you want a margin because people aren't going to write close to the center. So you're going to want to leave some space. So they suggest that you leave 0.375 on the inside for your margin. And if you are using a bleed, you will leave 0.375 on the outside. So that's this part here and the top and bottom. And if you are doing it with no bleed, then you just want to leave 1/4 inch. So it's basically 1/4 inch with no bleed, a little bit more than 1/4 inch with bleed. So you can actually, if you're using the ruler here, you can pretty much just eyeball it and see, well, okay, this is, let's see here, that's about 1/4 inch. So you want to go a little bit more than that. I wouldn't design outside of this area here. So I pretty much eyeball it. We'll look, if it would be helpful, we'll look at making templates for you guys that you can put into Keynote. But for now, I'm just going to kind of do it visually, and you can leave that space around for anything important. So don't put anything important in the margin. If you have a background image or a background color, that's fine. That can go all the way across, but don't put anything important in the margin. Leave a little bit of space there. So let's start designing. Now we get to the really fun bit. And I think you're going to really enjoy how easy Keynote is to use. So one thing I would like to create is a dream journal. I think that would be a really fun thing to create. So I'm just going to start putting stuff onto my page. So the first thing I'm going to want, what do you need to know if you're having a dream? You probably want the date. You probably want maybe the time you woke up from your dream. So I'm going to put time, waking time, I think I'll put. Okay, waking time. Maybe you want to say where your dream happened. What was the dream place? That's kind of cool. And you could do, who did you meet in the dream? So we could do people met, oh, I can't type. I got a new keyboard. Okay, we're going to say what happened in the dream. And we're going to put maybe some notes as well. So we can put notes. Cool. Okay, so I think these are the main fields we're going to want in our dream journal. So I'm going to change the font on these first of all. So you can change the font by going to Format, Text, and just choose whatever you like, what looks nice to you. That's a bit bold. Let's see how it looks regular. And we'll make it a lot smaller. You don't have to have everything be huge and chunky. It often looks a lot neater actually if you do smaller fonts. So I'm just going to do 0.14 font here. And the nice thing with Keynote is that things really kind of click to align. So you'll find it's pretty easy to align things in Keynote and make them all look nice. In fact, I'm going to make them all left align here. There we go. So they all click to the same place. There we go. You can see how they align up. And the cool thing is you can add in lines very easily. So for example, for the date, we're going to want to put a line in there. So I just drag them up like that. And as you can see, it's very easy to make them straight. The stroke usually looks best around 0.5. If you go much less than that, much smaller than that, it may not print correctly on KDP. Be very careful about doing things that are too tiny or too finicky. Sometimes those just don't print that well, especially on cream paper. So I recommend around a 0.5 stroke. If you go much thicker, if you do like the 1 point, I know a lot of people tend to default to the 1 point stroke. Those tend to look a little bit heavy. They don't quite look so professional. So about 0.5 is the sweet spot I find. So I'm going to put a line for the date. I'm going to copy that and put another line down here for waking time. Let's line those up a bit. And I think what I'd like to do with the dream place and people met is I'd like to do some boxes for those. So I'm just going to do a square. And what you do with the square is you go to Style. You're going to turn off the fill. You don't want any fill there, so we're going to say no fill. And we're going to go border. Yes, we do want a border, so we're going to do a simple line around the border. 0.5 again is absolutely fine. And you can play with this. Like if you want to put a shadow in there, if you want to have like a reflection and make it look all cool, you can totally do that. You can really experiment with this. Like there's no rules. This is your artistic creation right here. So you can use whatever fonts you want, whatever style you want. As long as it prints okay, then you can do that. So I'm going to put a box there for Dream Place so people can write about where they went in their dreams. I'm going to put another box for who they met in their dreams. Oops, that's not aligned right. I'm going to make it maybe a little bit smaller. There we go. So again, I'm just keeping an awareness of this margin. As long as I keep it sort of within the 8, I think it's going to be fine because that gives me really over ½ an inch there. And I'm going to say, what happened in your dream? So I'm just going to copy this box again. And what you'll find is that you can create your own, like almost templates. So if you want to change this from being a dream journal into maybe like, I don't know, a coffee journal, people you meet for coffee, you could totally save your layout and save your style and just paste it back in so you don't have to do everything over and over again. You can sort of reskin your designs. So I'm putting some space for what happened in the dream, and then I'm going to add in some notes here. Cool. So, I mean, that's really, really simple as a basic sort of design. Now, you can also add a table to your design, and tables are great if you're doing something like a planner or a mood tracker where you want to have sort of tick charts, anything like that. And you can add a table really easily in Keynote. There's a lot of different table designs. You really want to keep it as simple as possible. So the default kind of looks like this, which obviously isn't going to look too good in your design. So I'm going to bring this a bit smaller. We'll put that in the corner. And what you would actually do with this is go to Table. You're going to want to set up your grid lines. So you have grid lines all the way through like that. And you're going to want to make sure you have a table outline. You're definitely going to want that, the black border around your table. You're going to want to turn off the alternating row color, so you just have a plain background. And then you're just going to want to make sure that your border style is 0.5, and you will probably want to make sure you have a border around all of the cells in your table. So I've actually selected the whole table, and I'm just going to make that 0.5, make sure it's set to black with opacity 100. Cool. There we go. That's a nice, simple table. And what you can do, if you've created a table that you like, maybe create yourself a template that includes this table. And you can do that actually by using master slides. So you can see here you actually have some master slides you can set up. You can actually turn this into a master slide. So that's one way that you can actually save what you're doing. Or you can just create your own templates that you can go and pull these tables from over and over again, so you don't have to do all the settings each time. So that's how you can add a table to your design. Very easy. We don't need one for this one. I also think it would be fun to maybe put something a bit more decorative. Maybe at the top we want to say Dream Journal. So maybe we want to use a fancy font for this. Which did I like? I like the Bradley one, looks kind of cool. So you could put this sort of at the top if you want. Remember, this is probably going to be on every page of your book. So you may or you may not want Dream Journal at the top, or you may want to say Dream Log, whatever you want to put in there. You may also want to decorate this a bit. I keep some images that I bought from Noun Project. So with Noun Project, if you want to use their images in a project like this, you need to pay $1.99 for them. You can't actually use an annual subscription to do this, but you can buy icons from the Noun Project for like $1.99 each. Or you can provide attribution, and that will allow you to use them in your project. So I'm going to put a little dream catcher there. That will look kind of cute there. And I think this looks really nice. Oh, the last thing I want to add to it, I'm going to put at the bottom, I like to put little smiley faces, like how you felt about this dream. Did it make you feel unhappy? And I'm going to bring that down to, you can see the width and height there. Did I say height? You can see the width and height there. So I'm going to go with 0.65, and I'm going to put these down at the bottom. I'm going to put a sad face. I'm going to put a neutral face. Just dragging and dropping them around. Oh, 65. I'm going to put happy face. So you can kind of put how your dream made you feel. And of course, like, you can do anything you want with this. Like, use your creativity. If there's something else about a dream that you think is interesting or important that they should note down, like maybe they woke up feeling hungry, or maybe they woke up feeling stressed, or maybe you want them to put what they think the meaning of the dream is, or symbolism. Like, you can add anything you want to this. This is just totally an example of just how to do a simple layout. So there we go. This is pretty much the start of a journal. We can just copy the page. So if you want to turn this into your interior, you can literally just paste this in a bunch of times, make however many pages you like, and that's your interior. When you're finished, you're just going to go to File, Export to PDF. One last thing, you can do some really, really nice things with Keynote. Another thing that I love, a lot of people are very iffy about color and using color in their journals. And the main reason behind that is that it does put the price of your book up. But what I've found is that the price of a color book really isn't that bad until you go past 40 pages. Because what happens is that KDP adds 7 cents per page once you've gone over 40 pages. So if you create a 40-page journal, you're going to find the cost isn't that bad. But if you do a 50-page journal, it's going to be another 70 cents. If you do a 60-page journal, it's going to add on another $1.40. By the time you get to 100 pages, it's going to get expensive. It's going to add like 6 times 7. It starts adding like another $4. So you can use color in your journals. But what I would suggest, if you're doing that, keep it as close to 40 pages or less. But you can do some really neat things, like just a little bonus. You can do things like a cool gradient fill and give it like colors. You can choose the colors you want here and make it a bit paler so that people can write on it. Like, that looks really cool. So you can really play around with this. You can add images to this. You can see I've used these pictures from the Noun Project. Like, there's a lot of things you can do with your book. But Keynote is awesome. I'm a big, big fan of it. I love using it with KDP. I'm finding it very easy to create my books like this. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is how to bring in tangent template pages into your design. So let's do an easy one. Let's go to Dot Grid, which a lot of people use for bullet journals. So I'm going to select the same trim size, the 8.5 by 11. And again, we talked about bleed right at the beginning of this video. And this is good because I set up our pages with bleed. Now, if you've created your design and you haven't set the bleed, if you've set up the incorrect size, that's fine. You can actually go back to your document and you can change the custom size and bring it up to the size you need, including bleed. So we've already set ours up with bleed. So we are going to go to Tangent Templates with generating our PDF. So we chose the dot grid design. We're going to say 8.5 by 11. We want 60 pages. So we're going to hit download. Boom, there is our PDF. Let me just put it on the desktop there so we have easy access to it. And we'll go back to Keynote. And what I'm going to do, this is super, super easy. It's just one page, so I can literally just drag it into Keynote like that. Boom, there is our page, already formatted, ready to go. Now, what I will say, you can only bring in one PDF page at a time because it brings it in as a slide. So what I'm going to show you, if you were doing a planner, for example, so let's use the dynamic templates to make a planner. And let's say we're going to just do a planner for a month. We can create our planner. Let's say we're going to just do it for January. Actually, let's do a December one. And we can do it like an advent calendar. So boom, we're going to do December 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018. Set a nice font, whatever. And you can, of course, change the prompts, change the information. So we can do dreams today. And then what we can do is just do save and download. Cool. Okay, so there's our PDF now. So I'm going to open this PDF up. This is our planner PDF. And what it does, it opens up in a tool called Preview. If you're on your Mac, you have a tool called Preview. And you can see it has each page of the planner. And this is kind of annoying, but it's the way to do it is that you can pull in these planner pages one by one. And you can do it direct from Preview. So, for example, we can just pull in our planner page right there. And you can see I'm going to delete the bullet journal page. And there's the planner page. And we can put these, we can alternate these through the book. So there we go. We've got a dream journal page. You've got the first page of the planner, another dream journal page, Sunday. So you can kind of mix and match these as you want. And of course, you can add your own touches to these. So you can bring in, for example, we've got our noun project icons. You can, of course, like bring in your noun project icons onto these pages. So you can do things like this. So you can drag and drop this where you want. So we can add like these little touches to the design. And of course you can even add color to the planner pages. So you can do things like that. That's a horrible color. Make it a bit paler. So you can do really cool things with this. You can edit it as you want. You can't change the text because it basically brings it in as a big image. So you can't actually edit or change these, but you could put shapes over the top of it. So you can sort of block things off with shapes and of course change the fill color to match the document. So you have all these sort of options you can do here. But really, have fun with this. Play with it. It's a really cool system. I really, really enjoy Keynote. I think it's really powerful, and I think you can make some really nice books with this. All right, guys, have a good time with this. Let me know what you think. Feel free to send us your questions. I'm going to make a very similar video to this on PowerPoint, so look out for that if you prefer using PowerPoint. Do check out Tangent Templates. It's at templates.tangent.rocks. And replays of our Halloween class are available, so you can still buy the replay of our Halloween class if that looks fun for you. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If this was helpful, give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss future videos from us. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.